Hello everyone. Today is the final look at everything that I have used up in the last year. So what I usually do is I like to analyze my habits, my spending habits, my use habits in terms of makeup, and I save my makeup for the year that I've used up, actually finished up. And then I like to go through it and have an actual bit of an analysis of what exactly my habits are. Sometimes we don't even think about it. So what happens is our buying habits and our usage habits don't quite match up. And the point of this for me is really to bring them a little bit closer together. This year has been a bit of a bust for shopping. I did shop way too much and spend way too much money. But in the end, we'll also go through the amount that I actually used up in terms of financial investment. And I'll compare it to last year because last year I did the same kind of thing. I'll kind of go in the order of application. So first, primers. I have 4 primers that I used up this year, which is respectable. It's a good amount. I pretty much started using primer much more seriously this year. Not everything I used up was great. For instance, this Nude by Nature Perfecting Primer was fairly useless. If you are a fan of Too Faced Primer RX, maybe lotiony primer, which I used to love in every purchase. So I used up 2 tubes of it. That was a very good primer for me at the time, but now I expect much more from a primer. But if you like that one and you're looking for an alternative, this Nude by Nature one is basically the same thing. It's this lotiony prepping primer that really works well as this layer between your makeup and your skincare, but it doesn't offer anything else. And at this point, I'm expecting more, honestly. For instance, the Body Shop Vitamin C Skin Boost Instant Smoother, I like the packaging, it comes in a pump, was one of those very silicone-y, slightly pore-filling, perfecting smoothing primers, you know, the ones that are basically a wad of silicone. This wad of silicone contained vitamin C, which I don't think really did very much in terms of skincare. I'm not really expecting a primer to do very much apart from maybe moisturizing, but I'm not expecting a primer to have like active ingredients because all of that is in my skincare. So this one was actually quite pleasant to use. And I would say if you're looking for a very silicone primer, this is not bad and it's pretty affordable, or at least reasonably affordable for that kind of a thing, because, you know, silicone primers, they're not pricey to make. The only thing is this reeked heavily of citrus. If you're somebody who loves fragrances in your makeup, then maybe that's something you wouldn't mind, but for me that was way too powerful. And I'm not necessarily against fragrances in makeup. I prefer when they're not there, one exception being the Guerlain Meteorites. That is a scent that I crave and love, and it is very comforting for me, so it's specific to me though. In general, I don't really like scents in my products. This was very powerful, lots and lots of citrus flavor. You almost taste the citrus. This one was one of the favorites for sure. I really, really enjoyed it. This is Guerlain Meteorites Oxygen Care Moisturizer and Radiance Booster. It does what it promises. If it had an SPF in it, it would be a holy grail status kind of product, but it's very beautiful on skin. It's very smoothing and perfecting in terms of texture. Your skin texture actually looks smoother and better. It is moisturizing, which I really enjoy, and in the summer that's enough for a moisturizer for me, but in winter I did need to layer another moisturizer underneath. And the other thing that I really enjoy in primers is the luminescence, and this gave this really healthy, beautiful luminescence without any sparkle. It just looked great on skin. Unfortunately, the price tag is high with this guy, as it is with all Guerlain products, so not something that I will endorse heavily, but honestly I will gaze this way and potentially repurchase it in the future just because it has a very, very pretty finish. However, if you're into cleaner beauty, a Phytopigments Illuminating Primer from Juice Beauty. If this is a slightly pinky luminescence, that one is champagne. So I like both of them. They're very different in texture, but the result is similar. It's very perfecting and beautiful on the skin. The last thing that I used up is one of the Clean Beauty products, and that was Hint Beauty Day Prep Defense Primer SPF 25. There's 50 mils in here. I think this is a bit pricey as well, but the cleaner beauty realm is a little bit expensive, probably because the ingredients are generally quite good. This one is aloe vera based titanium dioxide. in terms of the sunscreen, physical SPF. And it's quite beautiful. It's very moisturizing, lotion-like, doesn't leave any grease, doesn't leave any cast from the SPF. So that was a big hit for me in many ways. However, the only con and why I wouldn't be repurchasing this, well, first of all, it's very expensive. So I'm not sure that it's worth it for what it is. But my problem with this was that I do like to apply my primer everywhere, including around the eyes. I don't go to the lash line or anything, but I like it on my eyes and lids, especially in terms of SPF. I like that to have, you know, coverage everywhere. And even though I don't go anywhere near the waterline and anywhere near my actual eyeball, this will sting, which I found very disappointing. So if it didn't sting, it might be something I would repurchase, even though it's expensive. But because it does this weird thing to my eyes, I'm not so sure that that would be something that I would go back to. Then we have one single foundation that I finished up, and this is not totally surprising because I wear very minimal base products. I don't really do a lot in terms of my base, and most of the time I wear either a tinted moisturizer or just the SPF with some concealer on top. So this one is one of my very favorite foundations. It's Laura Mercier Silk Cream Oil-Free Photo Edition Foundation. The color is Rose Ivory, and this is a perfect color match for me, which is hard to find, probably for everyone. But this is a very, very good, basic, beautiful foundation. Excellent finish. Looks very pretty on skin. It wears very elegantly and well. It's maybe medium coverage, but buildable to high medium coverage. And just beautiful wear. I can't complain. If you don't over apply it, it really does look like skin and gives you a pretty perfected look. So this was an excellent purchase, and I would consider repurchasing it. Right now I just have way too many foundations to use up, but if I was in need of a foundation, I would definitely go back to this one. It's really, really good. Then we have 3 concealers that I finished up. The first one is this one by Physicians Formula, and none of them I really loved. So I haven't gone through a concealer this year that I was super fond of. This first one is Physicians Formula Insta Ready Full Coverage Concealer in the color Light, or Fair, yeah, in the color Fair. I liked the product. It wasn't full coverage though, so that's a bit of a lie, but I hated the packaging. The packaging was super inconvenient. It's a pump that you can't control, and it pumps out way too much each time you use it. It was very inconvenient. I had to transfer the product into another container to be able to use it, and then I used it up that way. But for me, this is just a bust. Who let that go into market? Really bad packaging, really, really bad. I used up a stick concealer by Nude by Nature. It's called Flawless Concealer. It wasn't flawless. It was very low coverage, which is why I kind of used it more as like a spot concealer slash stick foundation. I wouldn't wear coverage everywhere, but I would just kind of smudge this one around where I had redness or whatever imperfections. It doesn't do very much, so fairly useless product, but it wasn't like offensive or bad in texture. So I did end up using it up just because it was around, but certainly I don't think it's worth my attention at all. Benefit Buoying Hydrating Concealer Mini was something that I thought I would love because I do have dry skin. Unfortunately though, this whole pigment core balm around sort of picture did not work out very well for me. It creased, it transferred, it was hydrating, that's for sure, but I prefer, I think, something less hydrating in terms of concealer. I want it to stay well. This did not stay put at all. Maybe if you have like ultra dry skin, that would be something that you would enjoy, but even then I doubt it because, I mean, the wear on this thing is really not great. I really like their industrial concealer, and that is something I've repurchased and I think is really, really good. So Buoying did disappoint me, but I would pay attention to Benefit. They do have some great concealers in their range. I have 6 powders. 2 of them are minis. Let's start with the minis. First of all, Youngblood High Def Powder Translucent. I do have a full size of it. I'm barely counting this, like this is almost nothing. I'm not going to review it because I'll review it when I finish up the full size. And then Nude by Nature. This mini really impressed me. This is Translucent Loose Finishing Powder. If you're having dry skin, then and you still want a powder for longevity, try a finishing powder instead of a setting powder. This finishing powder from Nude by Nature was one of the standout products from what I tried from them, honestly, because I didn't like the majority of things that I got my hands on, but this powder was really good. Moreover, I really enjoy the packaging of the full size. It does have the little net. It's very easy to use and it's very pretty. They do package their stuff beautifully. So I think this is actually a worthwhile product to check out, especially if you have dry skin. I did finish up a Besame product. I was quite underwhelmed by it. It is Besame Brightening Violet Powder, translucent. It's not translucent, it's white-based purple, pastel purple, which is a good color corrector if you're very fair, but I think everybody else would end up looking not that great with it. This is good for under the eyes. It is finely milled. The texture is not bad, but this white pastel purple thing, it wasn't really something I really enjoyed. I do like brightening powders, but this was very, very white based, and even on my pale skin was questionable. I'm not sure what I feel about it, and definitely the packaging. Besame are famous for their sort of vintage inspired packaging. That was not my jam at all, because online it looked really pretty, but in hand this is like worse than drugstore quality. It's really cheaply made. I was not a fan. Two pressed powders that I finished up. Nude by Nature, this was a Flawless Pressed Powder Foundation in N2 Classic Beige. That wasn't bad, but it was a bit crumbly. So even though it was good for my dry skin and it did leave a pretty finish as a powder foundation, it was a light coverage powder foundation. I did like the result of it, but it did crumble. It was pressed weirdly, so as you were using it, it was almost coming off in layers. And it was a bit crumbly, so I wouldn't go for it again, I don't think, even though the packaging is cute. Now, the star of the show, as it is every year, is a Physicians Formula Mineral Wear Talc-Free Mineral Face Powder. Mine is in translucent light, and I've been buying this thing for years. I hate the packaging. It's ugly. No, it's fugly. It's just, I really dislike it. I really hope they repackage it sometime. It is not something that I enjoy using aesthetically, but it is a great powder, and it does remind me of the texture of one of my favorites, which is the Lingerie Dépôt powder from Guerlain. It's very beautiful. The powder, I mean, if I just use the powder and not look at the packaging, I would be convinced it's a high-end powder. It's slightly powdery and there's a little bit of kick up, but it applies beautifully. It creates a very skin-like finish, and it looks great on dry skin. So I'm not sure if it will work for you as a mattifying powder. In fact, I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't be very good at mattifying, but it lays perfectly on dry skin. And this is called Translucent Light. It's not translucent. That's kind of like a light coverage powder foundation, and the color range really sucks. So they cater from beige to light beige. They don't do very fair, and they don't do anything past medium. So very, very crappy color range, but I've been using this for like 10 years and I would continue using it, and I am continuing to use it. I'm not really sure how many I've used up because the texture is so good. So I'm recommending it with a caveat. If you're somebody that gets bothered by the color range issue, which I'm frankly a little bit bothered by it for sure, but I just haven't found anything for this price point that would compare in terms of texture. It's really, really good. My favorite product to have used up is one of my Meteorite powders. And if you watch my channel, you know I have maybe a mild obsession with Meteorites from Guerlain. Again, pricey purchase. This was one of the jumbo sizes that was released as a limited edition, and it's called Meteorites Perle de Paradis. This had 53 honking grams of powder in here, so I'm very surprised that I did finish it off, but it is completely done. The interesting thing about it is, although I did not like the brightening violet colored powder in Besame formula, in the Meteorites formula, it was fantastic, and I think it would work for quite a few skin tones. They do that translucent, glowy sort of purple, cool purple thing that is very brightening. It is quite glowy, so if you don't like that, you won't like any of the Meteorites, but that's kind of my favorite effect. So slightly and tastefully correcting in terms of brightening with the slight purple undertone that it looked fantastic on me. So for me, this is a setting powder, setting finishing powder. It's everything for me. But if you have a maybe an oily skin type, or even a combination skin type, you probably won't like this as a setting powder, but do try it as a finishing powder. It's really gorgeous. That's how it's marketed, so you'd be using it correctly. There was a lot of confusion going on with my cheek products this year. I'm myself not sure how to feel about it. I don't think that it was greatly successful because a few products ended up not used up, but expired. Let's start with this Vapor Beauty stick in the color Mesmerized. It was sent to me by the brand, and I did not like it for its original purpose, which is as an eyeshadow, cream eyeshadow. It did not hold up at all on the lids. I think it's not a good cream eyeshadow formula, if that's what it was supposed to be. I'm assuming so. But this color Mesmerized turned out to be a fantastic contour for somebody who doesn't like to contour, and definitely doesn't like for the contour to be obvious or seen even. It's kind of semi-sheer and it blends very well. So I ended up contouring my face with it, and it blends so well into the skin that you can't even see it. So it creates such a subtle contouring look, and it has this like purple gray hue to it, which is what my skin tone requires in terms of contouring. So very niche product, I think. I won't be repurchasing it because for me, I don't actually contour on a daily basis, but it was really fun to do it with this guy. And if I was contouring, I would repurchase this. Again, not for its original purpose, but this turned out to be quite excellent. But only for people of my skin tone or lighter. I think if you're even light medium or medium, that is not going to show up on you. Probably not going to do much. So very niche sort of product, but I did enjoy it, and I did finish it up completely. Then we come to a cream contour stick, which is not a contour really, it's a bronzer. This is Clinique Chubby Stick Sculpting Contour in 01 Curvy Contour. Again, a bronzer. Interestingly, it's slightly orange as well, which is why I probably wasn't able to finish it off completely. It expired, so I stopped using it because it expired. But it is a very convenient bronzer. It does blend pretty well. Again, they call it a contour, I'm not sure why. And it does remind me of a similar effect to what you can achieve with the Chanel Soleil Teint de Chanel, that, you know, the tub that everybody raves about. I didn't love that either. So I don't love the Chanel one for the same reasons I don't like this Clinique Chubby Stick, which is the color. I think it's a little too orange, and these guys only have one color, and the Chanel only have one color, and they need to think about this long and hard. At least a couple more colors would be good, because not everybody's of the same hue. You want something darker. You want the warm, the neutral, and the cool. So I feel like it's a lost opportunity. This is a good product, and I would recommend it to somebody probably not with my skin tone, but this was too orange for me. I have a nice little mini here that I took traveling, and this is NARS Laguna. I used to own this years ago, finished it up when I didn't have much makeup going, and I got it as a mini, I think as a Sephora perk, and I was quite happy because I remember really loving it. I used it, it was fine, I like it, but I think between then, maybe like 6 years ago or something like that, and now, there's a lot that came out within the makeup industry. Textures changed, things improved in terms of shade ranges, so I think at this point, this is old news, and there's stuff that's better out there, just because this used to be good for its time, but right now, it's still good. It's a good product. I didn't have any problems with it. But I think there's just more interesting, better stuff out there. This one, however, was something that I really, really enjoyed. I didn't have a lot of big hits in the cheek department this year for some reason. Lots of cheek products did disappoint me. This one was quite a pleasant surprise. It is the Intense Matte Lip and Cheek Pencil from Nudestix. And I will definitely be exploring Nudestix more because I think they probably have great textures, and stick format products are really my favorite format for any kind of makeup products, really. So this was in the color Belle. I found the texture really easy to work with, very blendable, created really nice, believable color on the cheek, looked like skin. I can't fault this. So much so that I will definitely look into purchasing more from Nudestix. They really interested me with this product. Another questionable thing to talk about is this Stila palette. This is Sunrise Splendor Convertible Color Dual Lip and Cheek Palette. And I am of two minds about this. As you can see, I hit pan on two colors. And I've had this product previously in the pot format, so a single color, not the palette. Now, something that is worth noting is although I like the texture a lot and I definitely recommend it, I think it's a good texture, my problem with it is it's only good for 6 months, which is kind of ridiculous. Who uses up an entire palette of blushes in 6 months? Unless, of course, you're a professional who uses it on multiple people. I'm not sure that it's possible unless you wear clown cheeks daily or unless you smear it on lips, cheeks, and eyes and everything every day in a decent amount, because this is the pigmented product for sure. So I'm not sure if I'll be looking into rebuying this because I did enjoy it, but it definitely went bad before I could get my use out of it. And I don't think there's a universe out there in which I would be able to use it up in 6 months, even if that was the only thing I used. This one, another struggle for me. This is Bite Beauty Multi-Stick in the color Cashew. I'm a big fan of Bite Beauty. I love their lipsticks. That's my favorite thing from them. Their lip conditioner or lip mask or whatever is fine, but I don't find it all that special, honestly. I've seen better. People went crazy over it for a long period of time. I don't think it's that good, but their lipsticks are good, and their sticks, like matte sticks and the satin ones, are also really good. This Cashew Multi-Stick in this particular format, I thought was difficult. So I struggled with it and tried to come up with ways to wear it. And in the end, I wasn't able to finish it. It really expired before I was able to finish it, but not because I think there is too much product, like with the Stila ones, but because I really struggled wearing it. It's pretty dry in terms of its texture. It's very matte. So lips, drying, uncomfortable. Lids, that's the only place it worked. But then again, how are you going to use up the entire one of those just on lids as a primer? Besides, it's colored, so it's not for every look. On cheeks, it was just hard to blend. It was a bit messy and patchy. I mean, I really struggled with it. I tried to use it for months, and in the end, I just give up. It's not good. It's not a good texture. Let's talk about highlights. Highlights are something that I really went hard for and used up a lot of. Let's start with a cream formula and then transition into powders. This one was really, really good. Smashbox LA Lights Blendable Lip and Cheek Color. I'm not even sure if they make these anymore, but this was a really sheer product in terms of its pigmentation, but it's set on the cheeks. It gave you that reflective wet look on the cheek, which many people like, including myself. It looks very, very natural and pretty, but it did not stay tacky. So that was like a unicorn of cream products. It was great. I really enjoyed it. If they still make it, I would look into buying it again, but I do have a lot of highlights to get through. 2 cream to powder products were 2 of these. Again, Physicians Formula is hard because they just make terrible packaging most of the time. It was, I mean, it pains me to look at it. This is Physicians Formula Butter Highlighter, and I have 2 colors, pink, which I used as a blush, and pearl, which I used as a highlighter. I've repurchased these 2. I liked them that much. Again, I've depotted the ones that I bought again. This is a very putty texture, so it's a putty cream to powder highlight. Again, looks great on my cheeks. I was very impressed with the formula. I think the formula was fabulous on these. The packaging, though, was tragic. Another one that I'm going to look into getting once I get through a few highlights is one of those Becca ones. I haven't had a pressed one from Becca. I did have the liquids, and I still have one left, the liquid highlighters, but I've never had one of the pressed ones, and I got this mini, I think is a Point Perk, and they hooked me in. This is Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector pressed in the color Champagne Pop. I would surveil more colors and probably choose maybe this one, maybe another one, but this peachy, slightly peach gold tone was really pretty when I was a little bit more tan. So this actually hooked me in and maintains my interest. I might look into those if I am in need of a highlighter, which is not going to be very soon, I'm sure. And then the last one is a pressed Big Gelée kind of highlighter, and this is Dior Skin Nude Air Luminizer in the color 002. I really like the Big Gelée products in general. You do need a stiffer brush to be able to pick them up and buff them in, but I think the effect was really beautiful, very high shine. I did get a bit sick of the color. That was a very rosy color. I just realized that I like champagne highlighters more, but it was really nice to have it. It just was difficult to have in a project because then I had to use it pretty much exclusively. So I really like the formula, but I would look into other shades, and Dior thankfully does have a good shade range with a variety of hues to pick from. So if you are looking for a Big Gelée highlighter, I think this Dior line is actually quite good, both in terms of texture and shades. Moving on to brows, I actually got through quite a few brow products this year. 2 pomades I'm going to talk about, but I didn't finish them because I don't know who can finish a hunk and tub of a brow pomade in 6 months like it is for Anastasia, or in 3 months as it is with Plume. So let's start with the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade. I really like this. This is a stiff product, which is what I like. It is long wearing and they say waterproof. I'm not sure if it is, but it never smudged on me, so I love that. There's a ton of product. I would prefer if they halved it and made it half as expensive as well. So that would be great, because 6 months expiration date, I mean, I wouldn't be able to get through a brow pomade in 6 months myself. Maybe there are people out there who can. I just don't know how. Like, how would you do that? So this is great. I would look into repurchasing it. For now, I don't really crave a pomade. I've been more into shadows for eyebrows, which is what I have in today. It looks much more natural to me. So right now I'm not into it, but if I ever want to go back to a pomade, I know Anastasia Dip Brow would be a safe choice. This has been sent to me and I really like it. This is the Plume Ashy Daybreak Plume Nourish and Define Pomade. Now, really nice texture, a little bit more whipped, so if you like a stiffer texture, it would not be your favorite, and I used up a lot of it. Now, here's my problem with it. Although I like the product, it's pretty pricey, first of all, but that isn't really something that stops me. Something that stops me is the expiration date. So it expires in 3 months after opening. Plume really needs to figure out how to fix this, because this is a problem. I mean, you cannot use up a tub of brow pomade in 3 months. That is even more insane than 6 months. And I suspect there are more preservatives in here. This is clean beauty, so of course it's cleaner. Probably fewer preservatives. Probably that's why it goes bad faster. But there needs to be some kind of a solution, because 3 months is ridiculous. To me, Dip Brow probably can last a lot longer than 6 months. And I've used it for longer than 6 months. Before I gave up on it because I thought it was just too old. But Plume, I mean, 3 months, guys, this is like very suspect. They need to do something about the formula to extend its longevity. And the other thing is, I would really prefer if it was a stiffer formula, but I do understand that this is just maybe not my personal preference. The formula is nice, it's pigmented, and it works well. It is not waterproof and not as long wearing as the Anastasia. Let's hit the rest of it with the brows. I did finish up 2 brow pencils. One of them was Pixi Natural Brow Duo. And this has one of those larger triangle pencils. The color is really good. One of my friends, I turned her onto those. Now she just uses those. Mostly because it's so convenient. There's a pencil on one side and it's a bigger barrel, so actually faster to fill in if you're into that. I prefer the micro ones, but it's just a question of preference. I really did like using this pencil. It's nice and stiff and waxy, so it really was easy to apply precisely. And the other side contains a brow gel that wasn't bad. So it's not like glue, it's not like soap brows, but it was a very good product to travel with. I did like it. Now my favorite in that category is the Dior Show Brow Styler from Dior in the color Universal Brown. This is the one that I keep repurchasing over and over again. I haven't found anything I liked better. I hope to find something a little bit cheaper because I feel very weird spending like 30 bucks, I think, on a brow pencil every time I need it. It's micro pencil. It does have, it's a very skinny pencil, which is what I like. It's stiff and easy to control, which is what I like. And it does have a little spoolie, which is very useful, and just the right density to brush through. This is probably as ideal of a brow pencil as it gets from my particular preferences, but I would prefer to find something a little bit more affordable. So far, I haven't been able to find something more affordable that would be just as good. I'm still looking. I'm looking. Then we have 3 brow mascaras, and these are tinted brow gels slash mascaras. My favorite out of the 3 was, of course, the Benefit Gimme Brow. It does have a tiny applicator. I really enjoyed the moussiness of it, and it does fill in and fix the brow pretty well. I enjoy this. This is not the first time I've used it, meaning that I had a tube of this before and I did like it. The next one is the Nude by Nature Precision Brow Mascara. This one was a bit more challenging because although it does have this tiny applicator that I like, it was very wet initially and it had to dry out to be easily used. So it doesn't work, you know, right out of the tube, which is something I'm not a big fan of. I want the product to work right away. But it did thicken up to something that I did enjoy. However, I wouldn't be buying it again because I've had better. The Gimme Brow is better. My very favorite one is the Clinique Just Browsing. That one is my favorite. This one doesn't hold a candle to it, so no, I would not repurchase. And this one I just wanted to include because it's trash. So, Almay Brow Styler is probably the worst brow gel I've ever held in my hands. It's terrible. It is so wet, it's like water. I feel like they tinted water and put it into this tube and trying to pass it off as brow gel. It does nothing. It's annoyingly tinted, but not in a way that gets stuck in your brows, but in a way that kind of smudges all over the place. Application is crap, wear time is crap, pigmentation is crap, the texture is crap, there's no hold. I mean, I can't say anything good about this thing, and also the packaging is ugly, which is like the last thing on the important list of things that it needs to do to be highly rated in my books, but it was just trash. Please avoid this. This is why I included it, not because it was an empty, but more like I want to make sure to put it into a few videos saying avoid this, this is crap. Let's move on to lips. I actually have a lot in terms of lip products. Let's start with this one. This is another one of those that I put in, although it wasn't completely used up because I didn't like it, but I put in because I wanted to talk about one of the things that I discovered about myself through looking at the whole slew of makeup that I used this year. It's Lipstick Queen Morning Sunshine. I like Lipstick Queen lipsticks. One of them is on my lips right now. I think they're a good formula. This was a travesty. This is one of those color changing ones. Turns out I hate color changing things. I've only ever liked the Dior Lip Glow because it basically doesn't have a color, so I guess it doesn't even count. And I've also liked the Lipstick Queen Frog Prince, the blush version, because it just turned into a color I liked. Usually they're like fuchsia, these things. I don't like the whole effect. I'm not interested in being surprised about which color I end up having on the lips. I do want to know which color I'm going to get on the lips. I don't need the surprise. Now, the bigger deal for me with this lipstick was the fact that the formula is not their regular formula, probably because of this color changing thing or whatever, but it was so soft. It just, look at this mangled tube. I mean, the bullet is horrifically deformed just from very basic use because it's so soft. It doesn't hold its shape, and this is not a good formula. I did not like it. I used up 2 lipstick minis. One Makeup Forever mini in C221. It was a mauve color. It was fine. It was okay. There's nothing wrong with it. And one red lipstick from Bite Beauty, Amuse Bouche in Cayenne. Another thing I discovered about myself, I hate minis. When I make myself use them on a regular basis, I am very annoyed by them. They're dinky, they get mangled up very easily, the little tube is uncomfortable to hold. I don't like minis. Even though the lipsticks themselves were good, I don't like minis. I'm never going to get minis again. And there's no set that is going to tempt me enough. I would get minis Okay, I take it back. I would get minis of like lip glosses or something that doesn't feel like a mini, doesn't feel dinky, and is not going to change the way I use the product. For instance, this lip gloss from Buxom, I've had minis of these guys forever because they don't feel like minis. This is in White Russian. The applicator or the doe foot in here is normal. It doesn't feel really tiny and annoying to hold. I am trying some of the Fenty Beauty glosses in the holiday packaging they came. The applicator is regular size and they're kind of chubby and fine to hold. Now these tiny uncomfortable ones, no, not interested and not going to participate anymore. I used up three of those sort of stick pencils from Bite Beauty. They make some of my favorite lipsticks. So I used up one matte one in the color Amaretto. I used one red one in the matte cream formula in the color Maraschino. And another red color that I used up was, I think, in the High Pigment Lip Pencil, so in the cream version, in the color Pomegranate. And they're great. I have more. I will continue using them. I love them. The next category is kind of lip balms and tinted lip balms. I have 4 in here. I have the Lowen's Lime in the Coconut. I like their flavors a lot. The lip balm itself is average. It's good, but it's not fantastic. But they do have a lot of cool flavors. So if you're into natural, clean flavored lip balm, Lowen's is not bad. They did send this to me. My son really loves using them because he's 4 and his lips dry out all the time in the winter, so he gets his own lip balm and he enjoys putting it on because it's flavored. So the way I look at it, if you are a fan of cool flavors, or you have a child who you want to encourage moisturizing their lips, and flavor is a way that they're going to be more likely to use it, this is good. I wouldn't purchase it because I'm not a fan of flavors in my lip balms, and also I like a thicker, like mask-like lip balm, so it doesn't quite fit my bill. Then I used up this Bite Beauty Line and Defense Lip Primer. I don't understand the point of lip primer. I mean, I understand it's for longevity or whatever. This to me felt like a nice, very waxy lip balm, which is probably exactly what it is. Therefore, I don't really need a lip primer. I just need a lip balm to use. It was fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but I don't really think that product is necessary. 2 tinted lip balms that I used up. One is the Classic Sugar or Fresh Sugar in Rose, tinted lip treatment in Rose. This is a nice, thick, hefty lip balm that I've been buying for years and I probably will continue buying. I love this for winter. You do have a selection of colors, so you can find something you enjoy. This is a noob, but a really great find. Clinique Pep Start Pout Perfecting Balm. I used it up in the pink color. These are really great, actually. The texture is nice. It is not as thick and luxurious as sugar, but it does moisturize almost as well. Much cheaper than the sugar ones, and I like the packaging better. It's just easier. The bullet is nice and easy to manipulate. It's a smaller size, so it's a little bit more precise if you do want to go for the tint. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. The last 2 lipsticks that I did use up are 2 MAC lipsticks, and these are the 2 of the last MAC lipsticks that I have. One of them I will probably eventually repurchase, the other one no. The Rebel is not going to be repurchased. It's one of those sort of purple lipsticks. It was fun, but it's not something I wear a lot of in terms of color. The formula was great. And the Luster formula, which is the best formula I think MAC make and the most comfortable one. This one is in the color Patisserie, which is a peachy pink brown nude color, which goes with every hair color I've ever had, and it is probably my favorite nude lipstick ever. There's a chance I will repurchase this, not right now, but maybe next year once I get through more of my lipsticks. I have quite a few. So I just need to use up what I have, and then I would repurchase Patisserie because it's just so perfect for me. Let's move on to eyes. We have a few eyeliners that I used up. Nude by Nature eyeliner is a kind of a kajal liner, which is something I usually have at least one of. I liked it and I would repurchase it. I think the gels are not very hard to find in a good formula, so it's not like that's the best one I've ever had, but it was a very good liner. I enjoyed using it. Next one is Physicians Formula Shimmer Strips Custom Eye Enhancing Eyeliner Trio. This comes in a set. It's fairly affordable. I've used them for years. I repurchased many times. This is the gel liner, which is an automatic gel liner. It's fairly small. It's sharpenable. It usually has a little bit in the middle that you can use to sharpen the tip. So these are just good, reliable gel pencil. I think pretty comparable to the one you can get from Essence, from what I remember. I've used that one before as well. I just like the colors from Physicians Formula, that's all. This one was sent to me from Pure Anata. It's Pure Anata Natural Liquid Eyeliner. And this one was actually the best liquid eyeliner from Clean Beauty that I've ever tried. But I haven't tried that many. I tried like 3 or 4. This is definitely the best. It has one of those really classic brushes, which I'm not a fan of, so it's saying something that I actually used it up. I don't like these kinds of brushes. I think the liner was good. I think the brush was good. It was easy to apply. It's just not my cup of tea in terms of the applicator. This is my cup of tea in terms of the applicator, but unfortunately it dried up so fast that I cannot recommend it and I won't be buying it again. But this is Physicians Formula Eye Booster 2-in-1 Lash Boosting Eyeliner plus Serum. The color was fine. It's called Ultra Black. It was a regular black color. It wasn't any kind of, you know, super dark black. It was fine. It was a nice black. It did have my favorite kind of tip, which is a calligraphy tip. Pen style, calligraphy pen style liner, and I do prefer those, but like I said, this lasted me like a month and a half, which is unprecedented and really shameful. They either don't put enough product in there, or maybe I bought an old one that was half dried up already. I don't know. How long do these guys last for you? Because maybe it's just a dud. I wish these were better preserved. But let me know if yours dried up quite as fast as mine. In terms of eyes, this is my least used category. No surprise, it was the same last year. Eyes and shadows are really not something that I use up a lot of at all. Here, I've had some revelations. I have found my favorite formula for stick eyeshadow. This is Laura Mercier Caviar Stick Eye Color. Mine is an amethyst, and I will certainly repurchase this one at some point and buy more shades. This is my favorite formula for a stick shadow officially. The other one that I thought was actually a good formula and wore well, but also dried out very fast, and I think it's the problem with the packaging. It's Bare Minerals Shadow Quickie Cream Eyeshadow Stick in the color Pewter. Beautiful color, wore well, applied well, but it dried out, and then I opened it a couple months later and it just fell out. It was that dry, it couldn't even stay in the packaging. So to me, this is a good product in a bad packaging, and it was a limited edition in a set, so I assume the packaging is usually better for those. I'll look into them in the future, but Laura Mercier is just so great. I don't even know if I have to look into anything else. The palette that I used up, not completely used up at all, this year is this Chanel Quad. I've had it forever. This is 232 Tissé Vénitien. So I've come to the conclusion that Chanel shadows are just not exciting enough for me. If they start coming out with something that is going to be more fun and more interesting to look at, I will reconsider. But right now, for neutral shadows that are so basic and they're everywhere nowadays, I feel like they're charging an arm and a leg. You're mostly paying for the brand, honestly. I've had much better shadows elsewhere, and they did cost much less. This one, however, is probably the most interesting quad from them that I've seen them release in years. And it is this pewter green with pink kind of deal. And this is beautiful. It's just so old that I can't continue using it. It has lots of use in it. I've dented it to hell and back. It's been loved. I wouldn't repurchase it. I'm not even sure they make this anymore. But right now I just have a lot more interesting, more exciting, more texturally satisfying eyeshadows. These were good for what they were at the time that I bought them, at the time I was getting into makeup. But I have colors that are more interesting and textures that are cooler than that. So I'm letting this go, and I'm counting it as done. again. I probably won't be buying from Chanel very much. I sort of step back and taking a look at their releases. I'm not finding something that is exciting me enough to spend the kind of cash they're asking for it. Okay, the last category, mascaras. I've got 13 mascaras there, so yeah, I guess I use up about a mascara a month or so. There are a few of them that did impress me to the point that I would like to use them again. Surprise for me was Smashbox X-Rated Mascara. I really like this. I'm not sure if they make it still, but the applicator on it is super cool and it gives me the effect that I like. So I thought it was excellent. Then we have another surprise, Lash Power Mascara, long wearing formula, which it is, from Clinique. This is a tiny brush, but somehow it applies a very, very nice coat of mascara. And you can build it up, and it's a very separating, pretty formula. And the brush is tiny, which means I'm not smudging it all over the place on my eyeball. I look into that one again as well. I did enjoy it. A mascara that I have picked up just on a whim and I found was pretty good. Not my very favorite, but decent enough to repurchase is Sephora Lashcraft Length and Volume. This one again has this brush that I like that allows you to deposit lots of pigment and then brush through and separate the lashes and lengthen them as much as possible. So this was a nice surprise as well. This was not a surprise because I've used this mascara for years. This is YSL Yves Saint Laurent Affaire Facile Baby Doll. This one has one of those really small, skinny brushes that also deposits and brushes through. You get my meaning. If you don't like what I like, which is very separated, lengthened, yet slightly volumized look of lashes, then you won't like it. But that's what I like, and I'm telling you, those are the ones I liked the most. So if you like a clumpy lash, I don't think you'll find any recommendations from me that would be satisfying for you, because that's, for me, is a negative. This is a very nice All Things to All People basic mascara. It did remind me of the Voluminous by L'Oreal. This is Respectissime La Roche-Posay. This has a very classic pipe cleaner applicator, which I like, and it was a pleasure to use. It was just a very easygoing mascara, but it did give a little volume, a little length. It was just nice. Another interesting find that was released, I think, this year is Physicians Formula Killer Curves Mascara. This is slightly more volumizing than I like, and this is not usually the shape of the brush that I go for. It's a bit fluffy, and it's a bit of a figure 8 kind of brush, but not very much a figure 8 kind of brush. I don't like figure 8 brushes, those ones that look like they're pinched in the middle. That's actually my least favorite shape, but this one wasn't so warped that I didn't like it, and it did create a little bit of a more clumpier look that I enjoy, but in the end I did like how it looked. So this is my recommendation for you guys, ones who like a slightly more volumized lash. It is still quite separating, and it does give you the fluffy look to the lashes, which is something I do really enjoy. So these are the ones that I really liked, and then I have quite a few that were fine and were good enough to use up, but not anything to write home about. What have I learned from this particular year? I've learned that I'm getting into primers, that I don't like wearing a lot of foundation, but I do like concealer. I knew that already. This year I am figuring out that I'm really into finishing powders or pressed powders that are lightweight powder foundations. For the cheek category, that was the messiest one. I didn't really learn anything much from it, honestly. Oh, I did learn that I like the Nudestix formula, and I want to try more of those. Highlighters, I learned that I wear a ton of highlighter, and I like the cream to powder ones the most. From brows, I learned that I don't like pomades because they expire so gosh darn quickly. Also, that I haven't found a replacement for my Dior that would be more affordable. From lips, I figured out that I don't believe in lip primers, that I don't like having minis, so I'm going to eradicate, and I have already actually, all the minis from my collection. I figured out that I don't like color changing lipsticks / lip balms. I want the color that I want. I didn't do a lot in terms of lip glosses. This year, I think I'm going to go hard on lip glosses. I'm in that kind of a mood. And I've learned that I still haven't found a more perfect nude than MAC Patisserie for myself. From eyes, what I figured out is that I found my favorite eyeshadow stick or cream eyeshadow stick formula, which is the Laura Mercier Caviar Sticks. This is so far has been absolutely my favorite. And from lashes, I didn't find anything new because I like what I like. This is the total for 2018. This is how much money I spent on the products that I actually used up. Now, the unfortunate thing in 2018, I spent a lot more than that. It's just this is how much I used up. So it sounds like my arsenal has grown. And this is the number for 2019. So for this year, this is how much money I've spent on the products that I did use up. Interestingly enough, the numbers are very equivalent. That's probably, I would be guessing, where my sweet spot is. This is how much I should be spending a year on makeup. I'm spending much more than that. So that is something that I need to work on, and I need to cognizant of that really this is the number I should be aiming for to spend in a year, not more. And so far, for sure, it's been more, and it's wasteful. If it's more than that, because that's how much I can use up in a year, it's wasteful, I think. So, lots of lessons learned. I've found out a few interesting things about my preferences in makeup, and I think the only way you can really determine what you prefer is by sticking to the products for long enough to understand them and to really understand what you do and what you don't like. The longer I do these project pans, the more I hone into what I do like and what I don't like. And I think it's quite useful. I would recommend it to others because it gives you a very good idea about your using habits. Looking at all the slew of stuff, it really makes it clear what you should be buying more of and what you should be not spending money on. I spend a lot of time on eyeshadow because that's my favorite part of makeup routine. And guess what? I've used up not even completely one single eyeshadow quad this year. So this tells me that I should probably stop spending money on eyeshadows because that's not the stuff I use the most. This is it for today. I hope it was fun for you to go through my whole year of used up makeup and determine what can we learn from this. And let me know if you learned anything interesting about your own makeup use habits this year, and if so, what it was. Always very interested to share and for you to share with me what it is that you're learning about yourself and your beauty use habits. That's it for today. See you guys later. Happy end of 2019, beginning of 2020. Have a good day and good luck. Bye-bye.